the time. Always coming back around. Have a friend and half. Aaron Black sounds like Dave Chappelle. Aaron Black sounds like Dave Chappelle. Come and chat and sit down with him. Have a drink and have a talk. Smoke a blunt and maybe some whiskey. Think about the world at large, cause Aaron Black sounds like Dave Chappelle. 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 He's a guy you open up with and share your stories. Tell about the things you've seen and adventures you've been on. He's a pretty young man to think of, but he has something to say.
Welcome to Black Aaron Broadcast, episode 11. I actually remember the correct episode today. I messed up the other day. You guys didn't know that until I told you. But I have another wonderful guest here today. I'm going to give him a beautiful intro. Okay. So he grew up next door to Google headquarters. He's got more than 5 albums under his belt. You can find his music available on Spotify. He writes music, plays instruments, and sings. He's an expert level 9,000 troll, extreme fanboy of Noel Gallager. He knows more about the band Blur than anyone I've ever met. My man definitely has an eclectic taste in music. I've watched him collaborate in music production with one of my favorite new artists. He possesses a quick-witted, sarcastic, and savage-like sense of humor, the living embodiment of the annoying older brother archetype. If his cat don't trust you, he might shoot you. Gang, gang. My buddy, my pal, Mr. Steve Adams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How you like that, man? You like that interview, brother?
That was,
that intro?
fairly accurate, I would say.
I try to keep it real.
Saying that I embody the archetype of the annoying older brother is likely to go over well with my sister, at least.
I think it'll go over well. Are you 100% an annoying older brother? I just get the vibes. I don't even know your sister, but I really get the strong vibes that you are definitely an annoying older brother.
I mean, I've never said a good word about her, so that's probably indication that I have work to do on my my sibling status.
Okay.
Maybe I'll start now. Kristen's not such a bad person. She's just has more work to do than I do.
God, there goes that little bit of quick-witted, little dry humor, backhanded compliment.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke. So it's not even sarcastic. He's dead serious. You've got some work to do.
I have never said a word in my life that was not meant 100%.
You keep it real, like Noel Gallager.
Yeah, he keeps it real for sure.
He does keep it real. Let's see here. I do have a question because the name of your, I guess, your music identity is Majestic plural.
Yeah, the Majestic plural.
The Majestic plural. I need to add a "the" on there. Why did you choose that name? As I just thought about that the other day.
For sure. I mean, there's no deep meaning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it sounded cool. It's a reference to sort of a. So the Majestic plural is like a sort of specific instance of the royal we, which is like when someone refers to themselves in the plural. So like when the Queen of England famously, says we are not amused. She's using the Majestic plural, and so it's like it's a way to sort of add weight to a statement by appealing to your royal or powerful status. But I mean,
like referring to your kind of like sovereign royalty, imperial.
Yeah. So it's like
powers is third person, like referring to them like, hey,
If
it's me and the state.
I think
back
it's
it up.
I think what it is it's sort of a way to indicate that you are not only speaking in your capacity as a person, but also as a representative of a power greater than either you or who you're addressing. So yeah, so
kind of condescending, patronizing.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, the name just sounded cool, so like it wasn't like I was trying to imply something.
Every little thing about you, every little detail, Steve, is just a jab.
It's not. I mean, yes, you're right in most cases. But in this case,
it's good though. I like it.
I mean, there's so few names like left.
Dude, are you telling me, man? Yeah, that's
like,
right.
When I found out that was not taken, I mean, it was just immediate. Like, I had to have it.
You jumped to the opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay. So what the hell was it like growing up less than 10 minutes from the headquarters of Google? Because you're from Los Altos.
That's correct.
And then like you got Mountain View, which is Google, and I mean Cupertino, all that stuff I
Palo
see.
Alto, yeah.
All that stuff you see Google related.
Yeah.
What the hell was that like?
Well,
I imagine it was somewhat of a unique experience. You couldn't probably hear enough about them.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you become very used to a sort of high-tech lingo. I mean, if the dream of LA is to become a movie star or a famous musician,
yes,
the dream of Silicon Valley is to become an entrepreneur of some sort, to be a Mark Zuckerberg or something like that.
Big dreams.
And so it's very much sort of hip to be into technology. I mean, I worked for a couple of years at a place called the Coder School, which was a place that taught little coding.
Kids, like early on, get them interested.
Yeah, I mean, the youngest we had was like maybe 6 or 7, but usually older than that. They're like between
we're not
10 and 13, 14.
And we're not talking about MIT Scratch. We're talking.
Well,
or did they start them with that?
Yeah, so it would be Scratch or an equivalent called Snap, and they're visual coding languages that
visual.
But yeah, I mean, we moved them on to sort of real
C++, Java.
Yeah, sort of whatever they fancy, depending on what they want to do.
Damn, bro, I didn't know that about you, man. That's pretty cool.
I mean, I'm not really a coder myself.
Well, neither am I. I mean, I'm familiar with code. I took 2 classes, barely passed, and realized I didn't want to be a software engineer.
Fair.
But it's cool, man. It's the future. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably code themselves out of a job eventually. They'll be the last of the human jobs. Aside from politics.
It's going to be somebody who is completely aware that they are coding themselves out of a job, but they're going to make an AI that codes for them anyway, just because, I don't know, the desire to be viewed as the one who did it will outweigh any concern for employment of the masses in the future.
Outweigh the survival of the human race.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Is Google more likely to be Skynet or Amazon in the future, during the future apocalypse, where we eliminate all human beings?
That's a good idea, actually. Well, I haven't actually seen Terminator, but I do know sort of the basic premise that it's a sort of Orwellian. Is it a surveillance system, or is it just
Skynet is like the name of the system that ends up like doing all the bad stuff in Terminator?
Yeah, but like I don't really know what that bad stuff is beyond just like apocalypse.
Have you seen the movies?
No.
What year were you born again?
96.
96. 90s baby out here. God, you guys are so young, but it's cool.
Most kids my age have seen it. I just haven't.
Yeah. Okay, because you read books. You're not super into movies.
I mean, I like movies, but you're right that I do tend to find my sort of escape into fiction more often in books than in movies.
Nothing wrong with that. So Terminator is just like Skynet is. I think it's eventually just develop a technology, and I'm sure there's AI involved, and it starts producing like physical metal robot bodies. They never really got into if they were like more subservient or they just went straight into the automated military industrial complex,
Sure.
destroy humans, and we'll run this thing. They kind of did like a jump. It was just like they're super violent in the future, and humans are barely surviving, and then we send one back. I don't know who even sent one back that was just as intelligent as them, and then he has to like save the guy who starts the revolution against the robots for the future. He's got to like save them because they're trying to go back and kill him. It's really crazy, and that's like kind of more the second one because I'm saying him, but in the first one it's a little different because
We
it's
should
like
have put a
Schwarzenegger.
spoiler alert on here for anybody who watches it and is like, you
Oh,
ruined it.
oh shit! If you haven't seen Terminator, whatever, I didn't. It's it's super dope movie.
For sure.
Yeah, I didn't spoiler alert it.
I mean,
Were you-
it's okay. So, I mean, either one. I mean, I think that Google tends to be viewed as, more all-knowing than
Mhm.
Amazon, but at the same time, they're both massive companies with,
Mhm.
giant amounts of infrastructure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think ultimately the hope is that none of them, overreach their bounds, but it'll almost certainly happen. I mean,
They're already overreaching their bounds.
I mean, like to the point where we're seeing Terminator-like situations. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you, but I hope that it's some just maniacal millennial who like creates a startup
Mhm.
and like just with the sole intention of world domination. Like it was never an altruistic or like regular just business idea. They're just like, I'm gonna claim that I'm like doing a medical startup, like some sort of Theranos thing.
Yeah.
It's just like we're gonna con everybody, but really, the governments will all bow to us in the end. See, at least it'll be someone from my generation who does the
as long as
does
it's
the
somebody
deed.
from the 90s generation, you're like, fuck it, I'm down with
Precisely, yes.
it. This guy, I did propose to my wife a idea that I think that because Amazon Prime has all these shipping centers over the place,
Yeah.
eventually they'll be the ones like implanting the chips, and they'll like send you a Amazon Prime offer deal or something on the chips, and you just come to the local Prime center, they'll implant it into you, you'll get some like fake fiat monetary like swag bucks Amazon. You'll get 15%, you'll get like $10 Amazon, whatever. Just let us implant it, sign some terms of use agreement. You just check a box and hit okay. And in there they just gather all your biological data and where you are all the time, so you don't even have to turn on your phone anymore.
I mean,
yeah, and maybe it'll link with an app on your phone. It'll definitely, until they figure out how to implant the whole thing in your body.
Yeah, and it sounds fine and dandy until you have advertisements in your brain too, and then it's just like, well, didn't sign up for this.
Lordy, I didn't even think about that part. Fuck, I'm not getting chipped, dude. They're gonna have to kill me. To get off the technological apocalypse future and move forward.
Sure.
When I asked you who you trust in the pre-interview questions, you said my cat mainly, and can you? And I thought it was funny. You said my cat mainly. I don't mean to say that he's trustworthy, but his character is consistent to the point that I can depend on him to remain greedy for food and attention. What's your cat's name?
His name is Onyx. He is larger than average, and he's actually a very sociable cat.
Yeah,
he's all about being petted and even picked up.
Yeah.
However, he has no thought for anyone but himself. I mean, he's
selfish.
Never thought
Onyx.
a thought that did not involve either his hunger for food or his hunger for the satisfaction of being scratched or cuddled. So he's trustworthy because he will never change. He is I have no hope for his moral progress or his sort of like personal development, and it's comforting,
It is comforting when animals or people don't change and you know what to expect of them. We fit in that little box.
Yes, don't let Onyx hear that, but he does not like being trapped. But yes.
So I was gonna be a question I asked, but I already asked you as far kind of about your older brother standings. I think I got a idea
I'm the best older brother that's ever been born.
that's ever touched the planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean it's self-evident, but if it for those who are less gifted with intuition, no one's better.
Just look to
Yeah.
Mr. Steve Adams. Let's see. What have you been up to this summer? You working on anything?
Yeah, so I mean the first half of the summer wasn't even summer, as you know, we had end of session.
Yeah, we had some classes before
so
after the main semester.
Yeah, so 6 weeks
of whack
of classes.
Yeah.
In which, we worked on scoring some films and working on some music. After that, I went home and just hung out with family and friends and stuff for a bit, and then came back to just do some class prep. I mean, just always working on music. I've whenever I end up like coming to the end of a period of relative freedom, I always become more productive, and I'm sad that I wasn't as productive the entire time. I mean, yeah. But it's been good, just I mean, this is going to be the last year of school, unless I decide to, pursue further education. So I'll have to make sure it isn't hopefully too miserable.
So even when you're productive and working on something, you still like look back at that and be like, why wasn't I more productive?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you start becoming cognizant of just how much time is wasted, just like from day to day, it's like 5 minutes staring at the wall in bed here, 5 minutes just like staring at a Twitter feed on the couch while you're waiting
it adds up
for your food to heat up, and it's just like hours and then days and then weeks and then months, and it's just like you're on your deathbed and thinking about how a decade of your life was just spent looking in the refrigerator, and it's like, wow, that's unfortunate.
Well, that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, I think there's people that aren't like us and don't think about that stuff, and they're kind of like the fatter. They're the fatter portion of the bell curve. I think most human beings they're just like da 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 dee dee dee. They don't,
I mean, it's very easy.
Good for them.
It's very easy to think that people are, most people don't introspect, but I think they do. I think that almost everybody has those sort of thoughts, like, hey, am I wasting my life? What? How can I have woken up today at 1 p.m, for the 6th time this month? But I think you are right that it's sort of the default tendency to do your best, your very best, to blot all of that out and kind of forget about it.
Yeah. It's like the more sober you are, like both physically, like I guess sober you are from, I guess, like I don't know, I'm gonna say substances, or just even to just mentally sober. I guess the more introspective and I guess critical you are in looking at social situations in yourself, it's just like it's hard to deny some of the realities of life and how we spend our time. So I don't blame those
you are
people.
Not wrong.
I don't blame those people that try not to think about that kind of stuff.
Oh, certainly
it's
not.
Not really a big.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, even the most introspective person spends most of their time not introspecting and forgetting about existential dread.
Yeah, because you'd have to be like a career intellectual.
Yeah, you just can't. I mean, even those people. I mean, you can't function and spend the majority of your time, just in a trance, afraid that you're going to waste your life, because that in itself would be a waste of life.
That's absolutely correct. Is so your obsession with Noel Gallager? Is that a waste of life?
Almost certainly, but
When and why did that happen?
well, I mean, I love one of my favorite sort of periods and locations in music is England or
Okay.
the UK, and then one of the sort of time periods in the UK that was distinct musically was the sort of years between, say, like 89 and
Mhm.
like 97.
Okay.
And in this sort of period of
That's a
time,
good
there were
time.
a number of new genres that popped up. There was, shoegaze, which was this sort of very ethereal and effects-based sort of form of guitar music.
Okay.
And it was called so because the British music press would go to these concerts of these various bands, and they would see them staring at their shoes because it was like the effects pedals were on the ground.
Oh, wow.
And so there was that. There was sort of Manchester, which is another genre of music, which was just
Manchester.
it's from Manchester, but they
Oh.
called it Manchester, and it was like a lot of like very kind of like a fusion of acid house and guitar music.
Mhm.
So like one song that many people know is the Stone Roses "Fool's Gold," which is like this 9-minute sort of jam that kind of combines the two. And then there was most famously Britpop, which was this sort of resurgence of sort of British guitar and rock music. And Oasis was one of the was the biggest, most commercially successful band of that time period. And Noel Gallagher was their guitarist and primary songwriter. And he's a really good songwriter. I mean, his lyrics are meaningless, but they're like charmingly meaningless. But his melodies are just amazing. And everyone knows Wonderwall.
Yeah.
And so Liam was the singer, but Noel wrote the songs. And so he, people know like Champagne Supernova and Don't Look Back in Anger and sort of big songs, but there were a lot of just really magical songs that he wrote and continues to write. But it's not just that. He's also he's quite a personality, and he does not care. I mean, he will say what he wants to say and what he means, and he is not interested in if you are offended. And I mean, of course, it's not like he's a bad person or like an insensitive person, I don't think. I mean, he was a rock star in the 90s, so obviously behavior like that came with the territory. But he's just, I mean, to this day, I mean, he only gets more entertaining. And so like you watch his videos and he's the perfect sort of export from Manchester. Like he I don't know, he's endlessly quotable and also writes amazing songs. And it's pretty funny because his songs you wouldn't expect that. Like you listen to a lot of his music and it's it's like sort of oftentimes fairly melancholic, but also very singable. But I mean, it's just like he long gone sort of are the days of a record like Oasis's first couple records where he's just like they're just like, I mean, just going crazy, Marshall stacks and tons of feedback and all that. So I mean, I guess he is maybe one of the last of that breed. I mean, people also cite Dave Grohl. I mean, he's cool too, but nobody's as funny as Noel Gallagher. So
he doesn't. Yeah, Dave Grohl is cool, and he's lighthearted, funny, but he's not. Doesn't have quite as a dark, arrogant.
Yeah, I mean, arrogant is certainly not an incorrect word to describe him. Although I wouldn't say he's at this point. Maybe he was arrogant, but I wouldn't say he's arrogant now. But
maybe he's chilled down a little.
Yeah.
So let's see here. So we definitely know why you dig Noel Gallagher, and I always get a little bit of history with you too. Some of those eras and also him, but more of those eras. I wasn't aware of some of that stuff and the names why. So you're a bit of a historian of music then, I see.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love not just listening to music, but like thinking about it and writing about it and sort of exploring the history of it. I mean, it's like you become obsessed with something and you can't like not explore the personalities and time periods involved.
What was the first song you wrote?
Oh man, it was not good. I'll say that. I don't know, to be honest, because I would write songs like in my head, when I was very young. The first song that I completed, like
there you go,
in a sort of computer, in a DAW,
official,
was, oh man, it was called Existence.
Yeah.
And it was just the most obnoxiously like, it was just like really like metal influenced, like, or like hard rock. Like it was
Really?
just, I mean, when I was like probably 13, 14 years old. And like Linkin Park was like the ideal like vision of what a great band was for me then.
This is it. Linkin Park.
Yeah. Dark days, but I
good band though. Good
I mean,
band.
I still think that Meteora and Hybrid Theory are classics, but it's like the kind of single-minded obsession you look back on and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
that was a product of youth. But in any case, this song sounded like them at their most like heavy, and I mean, it was just like, but I mean, it was cool, and it was a transition for me because I started intentionally writing full-length songs. I mean, they were instrumental for a while. There were no vocals in that one.
Yeah.
It took me a few years to start writing lyrics and stuff, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't the worst thing I'd ever do. I mean, there were at points downhill sort of slopes from there, but it was definitely a product of an experience.
Okay. Nice. I kind of came up with this question specifically for you because I was just kind of interested in your opinion, and it doesn't have to be I guess this binary in the two areas I'm asking about, like this versus that, but
Sure.
What is a greater sign of human progress, new trends in music or the latest technological advancements?
That's a probing question.
Are those even signs of human progress?
I mean, I think they both fundamentally embody the sort of spirit of human creativity. I mean, I don't think that you really can pit them against one another. I mean, technology drives society like nothing else. If Beethoven's Fifth Symphony had not been written, we'd still have cars and computers. But if a host of various scientific understandings and technologies had not been developed or sort of understood, obviously we wouldn't have those things. So I mean, you could make the utilitarian argument that sack the music, all we need is technology. But I mean, Einstein and Newton and all the sort of greatest luminaries were, I guarantee, influenced and inspired by music they heard. And I mean, most people are sort of like, if you were to strip music from their lives, they would feel a sense of emptiness that would not be filled by anything else.
True.
So I mean, both are hugely important, and both are, the drive to innovate and the drive to create music, I think, come from the same place. It's like it's a buildup of like need, and it's just depends on sort of where your creative passions and interests are aligned.
Yeah. I think you're definitely right about that. Yeah, I think about that sometimes. I feel like I could do music without movies, even though I like movies, like visual stuff, but
For sure.
I couldn't live without music. And I appreciate a lot of technological advancement, obviously, but what is a greater sign? Because the other day I was just trying to figure out how, if you were to argue the case for human progress, what would you use? And I started looking up articles, and I just kind of started going in a rabbit hole.
Right.
But I did wonder if there was a correlation between almost like maybe we get the best music during like the worst economic times or something. And I haven't, done the research yet to prove it otherwise or something one way or the other. But there's articles out there and there's stuff to research. So maybe I'll get into that. But I wanted to, I felt like asking you.
I mean, I think that you're onto something as far as like discontentment being a driver for great art. I mean, we see all sorts of musical scenes and acts and people that come out of either like direct oppression or just like unfortunate circumstances.
Yes.
So I mean,
yes.
I think you are on the money there.
Yeah. Let's see here. So my laptop will coordinate with me. What kind of contributions do you hope to make to the music world?
I mean, ultimately, I just want to write songs that people like love. Because I mean, there's nothing, as far as music is concerned, there's nothing more special than a song that like becomes part of your life, like you associate it with a time or a person or a place.
Yeah.
And to like being in a room like at a concert and seeing, having however many people, singing the same song together is an experience that really isn't comparable to much else. And so I think that that's like maybe like when it comes to things that you want to be remembered for. So like, ultimately it's the songs. Like as a songwriter, it's like you. And I mean, I also love interesting production and like various ways of and like good sounding records and all that. And I mean, I want to do all of that. And I mean, it's like my dream is to make music that is both musically meaningful and like worth something, but also technically proficient and sounds amazing. And I mean, I don't have like any kind of like vision beyond just creating compelling art as best I can, and helping and maybe working with others to make even more compelling art.
Nice. Who would you, and this is one of my questions, because you kind of answered a question regarding that I had later regarding like what is your dream, because you mentioned that, but also you talked about working with people, and that was a question I was going to ask you later. If you were to collaborate with anyone, is it silly of me to ask and assume Noel Gallager, or would it be someone else?
I mean, there's a lot of people that I'd love to work with.
Maybe a top 3.
Okay, I mean, somebody like Noel Gallager is. I would not want to collaborate in the sense of songwriting. Like he does not need me to help him write songs.
True.
If I worked with him, it'd be production. I mean, like his last record that he made, he did it with a guy called David Holmes, who's done the soundtracks for the Ocean's movies, and he
Ocean like 7 and 11,
yeah,
12.
all that, yeah.
Okay.
And what they did was David Holmes Noel would come in with his guitar and a bunch of pedals, and he would start playing, and he'd play all day, and David would be like recording and like organizing things, and then at the end of the day, Noel would go home, and David would spend all night with his engineer, creating like sort of songs or like structures out of that, and then like adding things on top, and then Noel would come in the next day, and they'd work on that. And so it was like it was this interesting collaborative process in which and the rule was that Noel could not bring any songs in. Like it had to be all sort of heat of the moment stuff that was created in the studio. And it's funny, Noel on multiple occasions recalled the fact that he would like try to sneak something in there, and he would know. He'd be like, "Nope, that's like you. I know that you wrote that." And he kept him honest, and the record that it produced was just a really great, like colorful album that sounds nothing like anything he's done. And so I would love to do that with a lot of artists I love. I mean, especially artists who are interested and open to all sorts of music. I mean, Damon Albarn is one of my musical heroes. He was in Blur, or still is, and Gorillaz, and a bunch of other projects. And so like to do that with him would be awesome. I would love to work with. I mean, I don't know. The top 3 is so hard to do.
You don't have to.
But I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean,
Okay.
it's safe to say that if I appreciate an artist's music, then I have ideas of things that I might want them to do, and that might be cool to like sort of work with them on. But I mean, that's sort of getting into territory where it's like, who am I to say that I could add something to the, songwriting and production genius of someone like Damon Albarn? But
let's see. Do you dabble in any forms of art outside of music?
Yeah, I love writing.
Okay.
Both like sort of like nonfiction, like thinking about world issues and philosophy and that kind of thing, and then also fiction. I love especially science fiction. I read a lot of science fiction, and my problem though is that I have far more ideas for like stories and that kind of thing than I have will to actually finish them. So I
understand.
I'm not good at follow through.
Yeah, I had that problem when I was younger. I remember in class, like really young, we'd have to write a story, and we'd start writing, and I get like 3 or 4 pages, and be like, "It's taking too long," because I'm super developing the story and everything. And I even did a little bit of that up to like 22, and I just like this really long, crazy stories, and I was just like, I'm done.
Fair.
So I totally understand like having the ideas for stuff. I have the ideas for like all kinds of things and like aesthetics, I guess, the way something should feel or look, or the vibe and energy. But following through, God bless those artists who actually follow through with their artistic dreams.
It's much easier with music,
creativity,
I think, than it is with story writing. It's like writing 100,000 words is just an investment as far as time is concerned, far greater than writing a song. And that's just, unfortunately, it's like the first story you write is always terrible, and almost always. And it's like they say that it takes 1 million words to become a good novelist. And it's like
really?
1 million words, I mean, that's 10 novels.
1 million words and 10,000 hours to be a professional.
Oh yeah, Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours. Yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting. When music gives you the feels, what's that like? Like when it gives you like the best feels?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's a best feeling.
The bestest?
I mean, it's like there are a lot of things that can make a song compelling or a record compelling, and I mean, I have a fixation on melody. I love songs that have like very compelling melodies, and I mean this is true of everybody, but like from a songwriting perspective, I almost never am happy with a song if I don't think that the melody is both memorable and also compelling in some way beyond just being memorable. And so I listen to music, at least pop music, for that, and that's a huge factor. But I mean, ultimately, you can't. I mean, it's a bunch of factors coming together. I would say that like melancholy music has a different aim when it comes to feels than happy
like
music,
upbeat pop. I get it.
I mean, you can get goosebumps from anything. Like if it's good enough in any direction, it can be deeply compelling, and
either side of the spectrum can give you the feels.
So I mean, as far as that's like a yardstick, then I could say, physical reaction, like a goosebump episode. I'm not sure if that's the right way of saying it, but that kind of thing is proof that you're listening to something that's really connected with you. But that most songs don't do that for me. But I still love a song does not have to evoke a physical reaction for me to be in love with it. That was kind of a non-answer, but music is so mysterious, and it's like you're hitting at like the heart the subjectivity of why people love music. And I mean, I would love to be able to just look at the human brain and figure out what's going on, but
they still don't know or understand or
yeah.
Hypothesizing about and whatnot. But I was listening to the radio the other day, and I never listened to the radio. I just had my brother in town, so I was just like, I'll just put on the radio for him. Or maybe my wife was in the car. I don't know. But there's this one song by this guy, Juice World or something. Have you heard him before?
Yes, from Jake.
Yeah, from Jake, Mr. Jake Levine, is it?
Yeah.
And I was just like, this song is actually, it was like really melodic. It was like real catchy, and it had some auto tune on it, and it was like kind of sad. And I was just like, but it was like, I felt it. I was like, damn, I could see the kids feeling this. Like if I was in high school, I'd really be like, and I felt it like as an adult, like 35 years old, but like, not necessarily. I mean, I guess it can cross like, age, whatever generations. But I could definitely see like listening to this as like a younger kid. It'd be like, oh God, this is so cool, man. Yeah. And that was like, I mean, those are few and far between I ever hear anything on the radio. I'm like, because just the sound quality alone. But I do find myself like I was like last night, I was listening to some old Placebo. I don't know if you've ever heard of that band before.
Yeah.
And like I find myself digging back into crates because less and less into a lot of the music that I hear today. Is that you fun? Steven, you should say yee instead of yes.
Well, the actual word is yeet, not yee.
I looked that up. They said that. I looked that up before this interview, and they said yeet is like, it used to be like a basketball term, or it's just like a term of like excitement or yeet, like yay, but yeet.
I think that
I'm sure you guys kind of get your own spin on it.
Yeah, I mean, we totally redefined it. I mean, it's meant to be, originally it was an expression of confidence that you would make a 3-point shot in basketball, like after you throw the ball.
So you know that, of course, you know the history of the term.
Well, I mean, when you start using a word and you know that you're misusing it, it's wise to make sure that you're not using a word that will end up getting you in too much trouble. So that was the original meaning, but we just use it as sort of an affirmation. Like yeet is, it's excitement, it's saying yes, it's just anything positive is yeeting, which is a form of the word.
Not as quite as diverse as the word fuck, but
No, not well. Maybe it could be eventually, but
maybe with some more technological and advancements and music trends that cause cultural shifts, maybe yeet will one day
reach the versatility. Yeah, maybe
reach the caliber of diversity that the word fuck achieves. Let's see here. When's the last time you were really disappointed in a song or album
that I made, or that just like you listen to?
Could be either way. Like you make a whole album, you're like, you know what, this is shit.
I mean, that happens, but it happens longer after the fact than maybe the time scale we're talking about. I mean, let's think. What's the last album that I listened to that I was like, wow, I was looking forward to this, but this was not very good.
This is not what I was looking for. This is not getting me in my feels. I'm not dancing, feeling poppy.
Well, this is kind of a cop-out, but I still have not listened to Drake's new album, and the only reason is that I looked at it and it was like 30 songs long, and I was like, no, I refuse.
This is unacceptable, Drake.
I'm not,
Scorpion is 30. It's like a double CD.
It's a double LP. I mean, I should listen to it because I know that there's a lot of good songs on there, but it's like that was the most recent time where I was just like, we knew there's a Drake record on the way, or at least he was being sort of speculated. And so I was like, cool, like this is going to be one of the releases of the year to sort of digest. And then I was just like, I don't have the patience for this.
There goes our attention spans.
But yeah, I mean, I'll have to.
He just already disqualified it. He just like what's that? 30 tracks. I need like I'm more about 11 in an interlude. Like
right. It's actually 9 songs because there's an intro and an interlude. Maybe it's actually 8 because it's an outro too. Yeah, but I mean, okay. As far as records that I listen to, and let me look at my list of records that I've been thinking about this year.
Are you referring to your Spotify app or just stuff?
Well, I have like an ongoing playlist of stuff that like has come out in a given year that I really sort of enjoy or have been thinking about. And that will remind me of maybe what I might have been more or less enthused with. Let's see. Okay. Well, the new Churches record I wasn't a big fan of.
I don't think I've listened to that, but I know I have friends that are fans of them. But is it a female vocalist?
Yeah, her name's Lauren Mayberry. I mean, they're a cool band, and I like her. She has a really good voice. I found the record to be kind of, I don't know, generic. And I don't dislike generic music if it's done really well, but it just didn't. It didn't feel to me. There's one song on there I like called "Get Out," but beyond that, it just didn't do a whole ton for me. So there's that. And I mean, it's not a bad album. It just didn't
do it for
tickle
you.
me. Like I
didn't tickle your fancy.
And yeah, I think Churches fans generally did like it. And I mean, I mean, I've liked their previous material, but so there's that. What else? I didn't find the new Johnny Marr record to be as
Johnny
Marr. He was the guitarist in the Smiths.
Well,
amazing guitarist. I mean, one of my key influences for guitar. He also played in a band called The for a few years.
The what?
The.
Somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
If you thought you were original and you're gonna do.
Yeah.
There's all these the bands. What if we're just the band, but no band, just the.
Yeah. Imagine the difficulty googling though. But yeah. And
oh my god.
He played in Modest Mouse for like a year or two. Yeah. That record. We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank. He was on.
They're
song,
a cool band.
That song Dashboard. Everybody knows that one. He's the guitarist on that one.
Wow. Get some interesting info here.
And so anyway, he made a record this year. And I mean, there's some cool songs. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but just the first single was really good. It's called The Tracers. And then each single after that is just like sounded cool, but the lyrics were just like, 50-year-old dad trying to write relevant lyrics, and it wasn't
50-year-old dad.
I think the reason that his work in the Smiths was so sort of compelling was that he's a great, amazing, and interesting guitarist, and Morrissey was just such a singular kind of figure and poet. And then he sort of continued the role as like guitarist and letting sort of other frontmen write the songs, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got some great songs that he's done on his own. I mean, I think the best song he ever made was called Easy Money.
Easy Money.
And it's one of the catchiest songs you ever listen to. But I think generally, maybe he I don't know. I have hope. I mean, he writes good melodies. The lyrics are not they're kind of cringy is the bottom line.
I get it. I feel you. I do have a interesting question. I never asked anyone this before. If you could have spent your late teens, early 20s in any era of music, like when would it be? Like any time period? Like for me personally, I would go like 80s. Like because you had a lot of weird shit going on there.
Sure.
I mean, you got the pop locking and stuff and the dancing.
Yeah.
But then you also have like the goth synth people, like dude, like
new wave and post punk and all that.
Yeah, post punk. Like send me there. Like there's just more diversity and upspringing of stuff going on. But
yeah, and I mean,
hip
hip hop was in its sort of birthing stages as well.
Yes.
I mean, I think the only answer for me is today now. I mean,
okay.
And for the sole reason that it's just the access to it. I mean, I couldn't imagine not having Apple Music or Spotify. Like it's just
a world without them. You don't want to have nothing to do with it.
And I think part of it's I just don't know what I'm missing. I mean, I love the 80s. I mean, every decade in pop music, since the 60s has captured my imagination in some way, completely, usually in many ways. But I couldn't like give up modern music or modern music access to go and experience, a cultural moment like, Nirvana or the Beatles or, something like that, as much as I'd love to.
Interesting. I didn't expect that answer. I thought you would have had a time, but yeah. I mean, we've got a lot of convenience and access to stuff, the palm of our hands, not even just music, everything, and just, yeah. I mean, it's just, what do I want to listen to? Like literally decades and decades, right? Hundreds of years of music. You can just go, do.
Yeah. And also, I mean, there's just a ton of amazing music being made now. I mean, even though, sort of the democratization of music production has introduced a lot of, really just talentless people to the internet and to sort of music. I mean, not talentless, but just people that aren't writing, good music. There's also been so much more music that would never have been viable in a pre-internet age, I think.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it definitely wouldn't have been viable in a pre-internet age. Yeah, I think about that. Yeah, just because the culture is different, so it allows for different trends to become, I guess, acceptable culturally even. That makes sense. What what's the last show you attended?
The last concert I attended was, I think, so it was a band called Trash Can Sinatra's.
Trash Can Sinatra. I saw you had the shirt on.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Coincidence. Yeah, they're a Scottish sort of guitar pop band from, well, they formed in the 80s, but their first record was 1990. So they were touring America, doing acoustic shows, and so I went to a show of theirs in San Diego, and that was great. I got to meet them and talk to them, and it was just, they've been one of the biggest bands in my life. Really, really underappreciated. I mean, they've never had like commercial success, but their music
Can Sinatra. So I'm gonna write that down.
Totally.
Check that out.
And so it's like, I think that loyalty to an artist increases with sort of their obscurity. Like if you listen to an artist that you love, but everybody knows them, I think just psychologically you're sort of disincentivized to like develop as deep a connection as you would to a band that was sort of much less well known. And I think it has to do with ownership. Like you feel like you have a stake.
You kind of own it because like not as many people have access. At least they haven't found out yet. So if you don't tell them, they won't know. So it's just like you and this band, and they're talking to you or this artist, and you're like, yeah, this is mine. It's my little piece of the music pie.
It's kind of pretentious, but it's also, I think, just natural. And you just kind of hope to not come across as patronizing when you're telling them how much you love them and how underappreciated they are.
Oh man, I guess like I kind of feel that way about Childish Gambino.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because I mean I could be that stereotypical fanboy who's just like, oh, I was listening to him back then, like before Bonfire, before this album, like when he was still, I forget what the name of it was, like Wicked or Weird Boys or something.
The first thing I know of his is Bonfire, so
or even like when he did the Derek comedy or something or whatever. But now it's like, I know like he's kind of blowing up. It's like I saw the prices for tickets to his show, and like I'd been to 2 shows before where they were reasonably priced, and now they're like $119 or $20. I'm just like, what? And now it's like he's like on Star Wars. He's like he's got the music thing. He was on whatever comedy, whatever that comedy show was, Campus or College, or I can't remember. I can't remember that damn show with Joe McHale or something. And he's just like so well rounded and stuff, and he's getting way more exposure and access. He like writes and performs, so it's just like, dude, everybody's on him. And I know a lot of, and I mean, maybe that you shouldn't disqualify people for being, you're not a legitimate fan because, you know, maybe they hear something, they like it, you know, what's,
Oh yeah.
there's no like resume. You don't have to have a certain resume to be a fan of. Oh, you're not on the list, you can't be a
Oh yeah.
Childish Gambino fan.
Music snobbery is so annoying. Like people who are just like
Nazism and
like
music.
Yeah, like this genre is cool and this one isn't, or like, you know, you have to know this many records by a band to be a fan. I mean, it's just,
yeah,
it helps nobody, and the people that talk like that, you know, are really only making themselves look out of touch. And I mean, it's like, I understand like it's natural, but I think it's super unhelpful.
Super unhelpful.
Meanwhile,
it's divisive in the music community.
Oh, for sure.
Divisiveness. Do you like Block Party?
Yeah, I've not like gotten that much into them, but I like that song Banquet. That's like their
that was
song.
Like one of their first albums.
That was on Silent Alarm.
Yeah.
They're cool. Like they're very like angular and like punchy. There was a song off their last record called "The Love Within," which I thought was really good too.
Ooh, yeah. Fortress, I think, was on that too, maybe, or something.
I didn't listen to the whole album, but that song was really good.
I was talking to this bartender. I was out with my brother, and there's like a song came on. I was like, "What is that?" And they told me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, dude." And we started talking about it, and then we talked about the band. We're talking about that band, how much I loved them, and like I got into them like a little after I got out of the military, like 2004 or 5. And just they're one of the only bands that I've liked from, I feel like, of a younger age,
sure,
up till now, that they're still good. They don't make crap.
That's awesome.
They haven't made any crap. It's always so good.
There's also Hunting for Witches. I know that one too. That's a good song.
Hunting. Oh wow, that is a good one. And I don't even remember how it goes, but I'm remembering like
hunting for witches.
Of course, you know the melody and everything.
That might not actually be totally correct. It's been a long time, but there's a lot of like really awesome like weird like production at the start. Like it's a really awesome sounding song.
Hey, really? I don't know. I should look up who their engineer is or music production.
Yeah.
Also, we were talking, and they said that they're going to a show in September for Future Islands.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be there's going to be one in Orange County at the Observatory. And I was like, ooh, they would be great to see live. And I'd seen them like twice before. So I was like, oh, wow, they're definitely a fan. I was like, I saw like Childish Gambino twice before. I saw Karen O. Yes, twice before. Yeah. She's awesome live.
I believe it. Yeah. I mean,
she had like a costume artist. Like every time she went on stage, she had a new costume. Like she was like a dragon or a bird. Like I went to Coachella. I saw her. I saw it at Hollywood Palladium.
Was she doing like solo stuff or stuff with
with it was when she was still with her band. I think she may have done a solo album or she was supposed to, or it may not. Like the last thing I remember from her is she did something for the Wild Things movie, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean I haven't followed the AAS very closely, but I got the impression that they had gone on a break and maybe come back with something. That's cool though. I mean I know that she is I mean, when you listen to their songs, like just recorded songs, like she's obviously a really expressive singer that you would hope would put on a great live show. So that's awesome.
She has stage presence.
Yeah.
Major stage presence. God, still just thinking back, like, wow, she's an awesome artist, man.
Yeah.
I like female vocals, man. Like she's way different than say like Crystal Castle's like first album, but I still like the female weird, like expressive in a different way, a little darker, a little scratchy, a little bit chaotic, even what is that, what the hell is her name, Machines and Florence and the Machine.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Another female vocalist.
Yeah, she's one of the best for sure.
Bjork, love Bjork.
Oh yeah,
I love a lot of female vocalists. Really cool.
I mean, yeah, I mean the human voice is just an amazing thing, and certainly I think that we're seeing women being more recognized for the work they do in music now more than ever. I mean, there's a lot of work to do, obviously, but it's it's cool that more voices are being added to the sort of
The conver.
the musical conversation. Yeah, exactly.
Except for Nicki Minaj. Did you see that thing recently?
Oh, she was all mad about her chart
Travis.
position. Yeah,
God,
stupid.
dude, these celebrities are out of control, man. Like, why would you even like? You realize the funniest thing about it,
Mhm.
and maybe you could even call it ironic, is that like Meek Mill in his Twitter fingers about not getting not I think feel like I don't know if he said not being appreciated or something, but just kind of being putting his personal feelings out there about somebody or something that didn't attack them in the blogosphere out there in social media.
Sure.
And then they're probably not going to like what they get back, and looking kind of petty and I don't know how else to describe it, but she's kind of pretentious, obviously.
Nicki?
Yeah, just thinking she deserves to be. She thinks she's rightfully deserves
Number
to be
one.
crowned number one, but you're not. With the way the thing is now, the way they count this stuff, the streams and whatever, you're not number one.
Yeah, I mean,
regardless of what you think. And
I think she added the song she did with 6ix9ine to the record to try to boost.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely,
I mean, that was a terrible decision for a lot of reasons to make a song with him, but like,
they're just reaching. They're just like, culture. You know, everybody becomes, once you get to the top, everyone becomes a culture vulture, because you're just looking down all these artists kind of blowing up. They're coming up, and you're in spot where you're not sure of maybe your position. So you're like, I'll grab this artist and try to raise them to my level, and maybe they'll push me even higher.
Well, relevance is the highest aim. So, you know, when Nicki Minaj makes a song with someone like 6ix9ine, she is, you know, saying, I don't care, you know, what he's done, or like, you know,
what his image is,
or just the fact that he's just a bad person. Like, I don't care about the possibility that, you know, this will, you know, A, be wrong, but, you know, B, negatively affect me in the future. It's like that chart position. And I mean, I'm guessing that a lot of that had to do with also just, you know, her label and being like, look, we want all the sales we can get, and this mashup here we predict will be relevant. And it worked. Like, it worked. I mean, I don't know how many views it has, but I mean, a lot.
Yeah, but then I think for whatever reason he didn't get clearance to come on stage with her during MTV something music, or she was upset. She mentioned that she mentioned oh, he's got his girl Kylie presenting this. She mentioned like the baby and him, and she called him like auto-tune boy or something. I was just like, can you keep other people's names out of your mouth in that respect? And maybe I'm weird for talking about it because it's out there, but it's just like, why? It just makes you look like a queen. It just makes you look kind of petty.
Yeah, this is the world of pop music. I mean, this kind of ridiculous feud has been happening, you know,
True,
for decades, and many decades. I mean, rock stars are the most famous for petty and stupid feuds. So it's nothing new.
Not surprising.
But
not
certainly, her sort of level of obvious hubris is maybe more shocking, because it's one thing to say, you know, I hate this band because there are rivals. And it's another thing entirely to be like, my fans disappointed me by not, you know, allowing me to hit number one. I mean, come on, like, really?
It's really weird.
I don't know if she said that, but it's the implication, you know?
Yeah, it's implication she should be number one. So who makes you number one? I guess the fans, the people.
Yeah.
So not enough people who already support me, or, you know, because obviously he can't have more supporters than me. What if he has more supporters than you? Then what's that say? That means he's a bigger artist.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's utter stupidity. I mean,
yes, it is.
I hope that, you know, sort of the generation of pop stars that come up, you know, my age, are hopefully just less utterly self-absorbed. But, you know, I mean, not all pop stars are self-absorbed. It's just she is revealing, I think, an unfortunate facet of fame, and that it's just so easy to become really entitled.
To go back to our other topic question, are the morals and ethics of man evolving or
Mm.
devolving.
Ugh.
Who's to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's like
As technology advances, we just become more petty and ignorant or self-absorbed or selfish. It just
yeah, I mean, it's easy to be pessimistic, I think. But I also think it's easy, or I think it's wise to, use data to see, how the world is changing. I mean, Steven Pinker wrote a book recently called Enlightenment Now, where he basically argues, where he looks at a bunch of data. And I haven't read the book, but I've seen some interviews with him where he talks about it. And he basically just takes a bunch of data regarding sort of just human well-being across all sorts of spectrums and across the world, and basically makes the argument that life has been getting consistently better due to basically the Enlightenment. We've the ideas that were propagated there have led to an increasingly wealthy world
overall.
Now, this is not necessarily the same thing as an increasingly moral world.
No.
To say that humanity is making ethical progress as it continues in creating civilizational progress. I mean, maybe I hope so. But we seem to go through cycles of sort of golden age and then dark age and back and forth.
All of it is a cycle.
Yeah.
Maybe we across the world, if you look at the numbers, we all more people have access to resources and like water and food and maybe even internet or shelter, to come out of the resources to get out of poverty and maybe advance themselves. But at the same time, are they using those resources to maybe help others or more help themselves? And
for sure,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
how are the resources being applied? Are they being applied morally or ethically? Are they obligated to apply it morally?
For sure. I mean, that's
right, and ethically, or just worry about themselves and
Yeah, I mean, wealth distribution, I think, is like a great metric for looking at how sort of moral a society is, but it's not the only metric. And if you look at the sort of living situation for somebody in America, for example, it's like we have huge wealth inequality, but we also are some of the most fortunate and like rich people in the world. So it's like it's not the only metric, and I don't know if maybe we can develop a graph that shows a correlation between more inequality and more poverty, where it's like the American level of inequality is actually relatively low compared to the level of inequality in Somalia or
I'm gonna look that up later.
Who
as far as I guess doing percentages and ratios based on certain points. Damn, there is, I don't remember what it's called, but there's a term in science that it says if people are less educated, they're more violent or something.
Oh,
or
yeah.
There's like a theory, like scientific theory, like saying, and they were saying people, there's like more, say, I think less well-off people maybe in China, but because they're better educated, it's not as violent as of a country.
Interesting. I mean, that it certainly makes sense,
So we're less educated and more violent. We have I think something like that.
Education and access to like the basic sort of areas of Maslow's hierarchy. Like, you are not worrying about your next meal. You're not worrying about dying from, the bubonic plague.
You can focus on.
Yeah, exactly.
You can focus on different things.
And so it's like at the point where you can start to self-actualize, violence is generally just unnecessary. I mean, it's not gone, but you can at least say that the majority of causes for violence, self-defense being, I imagine, a significant portion of cause for violence in places that are less well off, just because it's like, well, the police are corrupt, they're not going to help me. And this also means that others, criminals are free to do whatever they want because they know that the police aren't effective. So it's like, well, somebody if somebody comes and robs me at gunpoint, one of us there's a good chance is going to die. So it's like I don't know what I assume that is probably a significant factor.
Yeah, I think you're right. I did have let's see here. I did have another question. I said, what has been your most valuable life lesson? And you said you don't know what you don't know. What does that mean?
Oh yes, that is, I think, a lesson that everybody learns over time, but the sort of level of profundity, like sort of like your understanding of that increases as time goes on too. It's like you think you know that you don't know what you don't know when you're 12, and you do to a degree, but then when you're 15, when you're 18, when you're 20, it's like it's you. At least for me, I usually learn it by trying to undertake a task and realizing that there's a lot more to it than I thought there was. And usually significantly more, not just like, oh, I thought there were 2 variables and there are 3, but like I thought there were 2 variables and there are 20. And it's like this is perfectly embodied in learning musical instruments or learning about complex topics. People talk all the time about the Dunning-Kruger effect, which, as I understand it, is the more people who are less knowledgeable about a topic will speak as if they are experts, because they don't understand the depth of what they're talking about. And it's like as you explore something, you become more and more aware of just how much you don't know. And so it's really like a weapon against arrogance, because people my age think they can take on the world and do anything they want, because we don't realize how much just goes into that. And I'm not saying that we can't do it, but it is the naivete of youth, I think. And I'm gonna laugh at myself for pretending to be so wise in 20 years when I actually understand what I'm saying. But it's just, I think that's a lesson that you learn progressively, and that it's been huge for me, just as I am constantly trying to learn new skills and learn new things, and just never think that anything is masterable in an afternoon, if that makes sense.
Nothing is mastered in an afternoon, except maybe I don't know, making a grilled cheese sandwich. You might, but maybe someone might debate me on that.
My culinary skills are
far back.
They don't really exist.
What are you eating? What are you making? What is your
the most sophisticated
meal
thing that I eat, that I make, is like a burrito. Like I'll microwave some meat, some rice, some beans, some cheese, throw some salsa on there, wrap it in a tortilla, and that's the extent of my cooking ability. My mother has tried to drag me, kicking and screaming, into making various foods with her. I enjoy the activity, but I wouldn't say it's my gift. And it's a skill that everyone should have, and I will not forever be laughing at learning how to cook more things, because you can't live by burritos alone. But
you can't live by burritos alone, people. Okay.
You can, but you will eventually become miserable.
the health consequences and following of existential dread, because limited resources and intellectual prowess in the kitchen don't allow you to make the complex.
Intellectual prowess in the kitchen. This is precisely the problem. I lack that.
I did want to, because we got to close up. We're not gonna have a lot of time to get to it, but I asked you about an unforgettable life experience, and you mentioned about listening to slow dive record, Pi Galmalion, while driving on the Grapevine on the way back to LA a couple weeks ago, and it was just kind of a snapshot, a visual stimulation in your head, and really memorable. Do you is there a if you were to give someone advice kind of as we kind of close the interview, as far as, you know, making memories of life and, you know, being grateful, what should people be great, or what are you grateful for? That's what I should ask. And I kind of segued there. Obviously you're grateful for that memory and that experience. But to close it up, like, share maybe with me and the people, what are you grateful for, I guess? Because I like to end on a positive kind of little inspirational note.
Well, as far as, you know, relating that to what you're talking about as far as memories, I guess my point in my response to your question was that I think that the most important and precious, you know, moments in your life are not the ones that are most obviously significant. Like if you were to write a timeline of things that happen, it's like it's moments captured in time that you sort of hold forever, and like that sort of generate an aura, sort of like you feel a period of time as a memory, but you don't understand quite sort of like what all the parts that go into that sort of feeling are. And so I think that talking about like sort of connecting that to things that I'm grateful for. I mean, I think that the most obvious thing there would just be being able to you know, make that kind of memory, and being able to I don't know how to even explain it. It's just being alive and being able to like take everything in. I mean, it's really miraculous. I mean, you don't. I mean, obviously, most of the time we're not aware and thinking about, you know, the fact that, you know, my eyes are delivering information to my brain as my ears and my nose and my, you know, nerves and everything are doing all of that at once. And it's like you become like, you can't think about that all the time. Like, it's not possible. But I think that it's really sort of, you can have very profound moments when you like really make yourself think about the things that you could be denied. But I guess getting less sort of abstract and you know, floating above ourselves, I would say that, you know, there are a lot of people in my life that I'm really thankful for, and just I guess the opportunity to create things with people, you know, whether it be music or, you know, a podcast or just the people coming together to make something that is greater than the sum of their parts is, I mean, it's an emergent phenomenon, and it doesn't happen any other way. Like there's nothing like coming into, like, say, a studio session with nothing and coming out with something that none of the participants could have ever made on their own. So that's like a point of contact. I mean, I could go on about things that I am thankful for and that I love in my life for you know, ever, but I think that relating to, you know, music and the things we've been talking about, just that I can be part of the great canon of you know, every song ever made
through your Spotify or other
exactly
apps. That's what's up, man. I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Cheesy endings are always good.
Steve Adams. Yeah, man, that was awesome. So this has been another episode of the Black Aaron Broadcast, episode 11, Black Aaron Broadcast podcast.
Where are you looking at?
Camera's right there.
I saw that, but it looks like I'm staring somewhere else when I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's weird. So
whatever. Eye contact is overrated. I'm not into it.
Yeah, it is. So I'll leave you with this. Stay blessed. don't stress. Stay tuned. Black Iron Broadcast every Thursday at about 10 a.m. ish, sometimes earlier. All right.
Yeet.
And yep, yeet. And let me leave you with my music. I'm
Gang,
gonna cut the
gang, gang,
mics.
gang.
Later, guys. Cutting the mics. Coming up with the aux. There we go.
Except for a young guy to talk to, always seem to have a good time. Always coming back around, have a friend and have Aaron Black sounds like Dave Chappelle.